Right. Hello, everyone. And thank you for stopping by at my channel here in my virtual space. Thanks to YouTube. My name is Simone Scott Sawyer, and I am very excited to be here once again, joined by the lovely Gozen, who you will hear a little bit more from later on. For those of you who are not familiar with my channel, which I've called the Esky channel, it started out of a need to share my story regarding my health battles, which I had a few years ago. I used to suffer from a debilitating condition called endometriosis. It affects 1 in 10 women in the UK alone. And at the time when I was going through that period and suffering in silence, I hadn't quite found my voice, and I didn't realize that actually it's okay to reach out to other women and share stories and get ideas. And that was how I started to vlog on this channel. And it's been a real blessing for both myself and for others who I have interacted with. But because Simone isn't just about health, and I have a huge passion for connecting people, telling stories, that's one of the reasons why we are here today, because Gozen and myself happen to be blessed to be part of an amazing church called iCAN Community Church. And we are church is hosting its first singles event next Friday the 25th of February. And we are so super excited about this event because it was a desire that was placed on our hearts. We know this for sure. And we believe that the kings and the queens, as we have built this event, are out there just ready to come together in that sacred space, ready to take that next step, ready to be pushed out of their comfort zone, to come along with their intentions, to leave all the preconceptions behind and just come open, ready to receive. And that is the reason why Gozen and I are here today, to update you and to give you a bit more information about the event, and for you to also get her unique perspective on things. Guys, I'm so super excited to have Gozen in my virtual space today, because I know that what she's going to share with you today, time permitting, will definitely bless and enrich your lives. So I will now hand you over to the indomitable, beautiful Gozen. Gozen, over to you.
God bless you, Simone. So my name is Gozen Sawyer, also known as Lady Gozen on social media. And my purpose, one of my callings, is to mentor and help women globally around the world who desire marriage. And I help them find purpose in that so that they can be aligned to their right king. And I love the name of the event right now, Finding Purpose Before and After the Ring will help you in whatever you do in life. And I think it's so vital.
It's so
that's what I think.
Yeah, it's so apt. I mean, this is why when the whole thing came about, it started from our Amen, the men's ministry at the church. And we had a series of Zoom events last year, some of which I think you're aware of. And that was the theme, Kings and Queens. And the intention at the time, a singles event, was furthest from our minds, but we were having an open debate and discussion about a whole host of things that kings look for in their queens and vice versa. And then the idea just came about, pure spiritual intervention, to have a singles event, because we're already in that zone anyway, discussing how amazing it would be for, like-minded individuals who are looking for their forever partner to be in a space, a sacred space, where it is purely about that. And of course, Gozen does amazing work in this arena anyway. She has a website and a company called Wife in the Waiting. And hopefully we'll come into a little bit of that later, Gozen. But firstly, thank you for that brief intro. With regards to the title, as we've just been discussing, Kings and Queens, when you hear those two words, what comes to mind? What springs to mind when you hear Kings and Queens?
It's quite simple. We're royalty. We are from a royal priesthood. And it's when we walk in our royal priesthood, when we walk in the royalty in the kingdom of God, we reign, and we want to reign not only in life but in relationships too, especially for those desiring marriage, which I believe is God's blueprint for humankind. We are here to dominate, we're here to reign, rule, and we're also here to multiply through generations and generations for the kingdom of God. So I think it's incredible. I love it.
Amen. Amen. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think with titles like that, it's very easy to banter around titles these days, but unless you fully own it and walk in it, you know, whereby you appreciate who you are, like you say, we're part of the royal priesthood, it's very difficult, I think, to attract a mate who is also on that level. And this is one of the messages that we're trying to get out there, because it all really starts with self, appreciating that you yourself, you're a queen, first and foremost. You have an abundance of ideas and talents, etc., to bring to the table. And unless you own that fully, how are you going to attract your king, right?
I love that. I love what you said there, because one thing I kind of share a lot of is confidence. You know, confidence in yourself. And when you walk in confident, whatever job you're doing, whatever role you're doing, but when you do it confidently, it is so attractive. Absolutely. It is so attractive. It could be a carpenter and he's so confident in what he's doing.
Right.
He's so attractive. It's what attracts you to them, their confidence in what they are doing and doing what they were called to do. So we were called to reign. We were called to be kings and queens. And when we hold our head up high and own it, that's when we can really conquer in our fields and in our relationships. And it is what attracts your mate to you, without doubt.
You're absolutely right. I think it's way up there. It probably even surpasses being attractive. Yes, it's important to have charisma, to have that connection initially. But what you're talking about right there, just walking in your true, authentic self and exuding that confidence, is super attractive.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I love that. So as a single woman, Gozen, and in your search for finding your forever man, your king, and obviously there's been a journey leading up to Wife in the Waiting and how that came about. How have you found that journey? What have been your struggles or your experiences?
I think what you just said there, it's as a woman desiring marriage, going out finding my king. I think this mindset shift has helped me the most. So we go back to the Bible. The Bible is my blueprint for life. So I go back to the Bible, and my Bible reads, "He who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord." So that then repositions my mind. It's not my job to go out finding a king. It's my job to position myself as a wife, because he doesn't find me as a lady. He doesn't find me as a girl. He doesn't even find me as a woman. He finds me as a wife. And then when he puts a ring on it, I become his wife. So many of my challenge, my transition that I had to make, I had to go from single mindset to marriage mindset, from woman mindset to woman and desiring wife mindset, because a wife mindset is very different to a single mindset. And this transition, I think, is the most difficult part. And that is why I created Wife in the Waiting Academy, to help us as women just really shift and position ourselves so that when we are walking in our calling and our purpose, and as wife, our husband is going to know who we are, identify with who we are. We're going to fill a space that God has already ordained us to fulfill. Like, that place is ours anyway. That place is ours. Absolutely. But we need to be walking in it right now, here today, and not, when I get a ring, I'm going to do this or think this way or act this way. We've got to start walking in that right here today.
Absolutely. I love how you, I love how you just made that subtle distinction. And I'm really interested to understand how that transition happened for you, Gozen, because there are a lot of women out there who fail to realize that, yes, we just need to position, occupy. It's like sitting at a table and literally waiting for the, for service to come, right? A bit of a strange analogy, but you get what I'm saying. In that, if you're not sitting at the table, well, no one's going to see you and know that you are waiting, but you get to the table and you're ready, you own that space. So I'm just interested a little bit in that journey from you making that realization. When was that eureka moment when you had that, aha, I need to go from I'm seeking to no, I'm waiting to be found?
I think one of my transition points for my relationship with God was when I came to the end of a 4-year relationship. And for me, I was like, you're together for 4 years. You should know by now if you're going to get married or not. Like, it shouldn't be a difficult thing. So I remember at the end of that relationship, I just vowed to God, I'm like, God, I'm doing it your way. Your way or no way, because I'm not going to be committed to someone, give my all to someone as a girlfriend anymore, because I know who I am. I know who I was created to be, and I don't want that life. So it was when I took my relationship with God really seriously, and I'm like, you know what, God, the Isaiah 54:5, it says, the Lord your maker is your husband. I'm like, whatever. But when that really made sense was, I need to start allowing God to make room for him in my life. Mm-hmm. He'll never impose himself. God is the best gentleman there is. Absolutely. He will not impose himself in your life. So when I was ready to truly make space for God in my life, was when I started learning how to submit to him. Big word, incredible meaning. But when I started learning how to invite God into my life and give space to him, was when I started transitioning and started being a wife. And then in time, he connected me with an incredible group of women, actually in the US, who our messages coincided, and we just kind of like, it was the same message, different parts of the world, and something quickened in my belly. And then I had all these mentors who were wives, who were walking in wife, and I just sat at their feet, just like Ruth sat at Naomi's feet, and she's like, you know what, where you go, I go. Just, I'm going to sit and glean. So I gleaned from these women, and it just blessed my life. It just really gave me direction and helped me on my walk. And then I realized we don't have these spaces. The Titus 2 woman, the elder woman, isn't pouring into the younger woman anymore, because they, may not have been poured into, especially with godly principles. So that's when that transition happened to me, and I started walking in wife and just knowing my worth and value. I'm not a girlfriend, I'm a wife. And I position myself as such.
Absolutely. I love how you take it back to the Bible and take it back to God. Similar experience in that it was when the penny dropped that I need to start from ground zero. I don't know why I thought I could come into this whole, space thinking that I could start at step 5 or step 10 and keep on going my way. No. Once you make that decision that actually this is out of your hands, it's beyond your control, it's not something you can contrive, you need to just literally let go and let God. And that whole discussion about submission, I hear you, girl. And it is a big word. Don't quite know if we have time to go down that road, but suffice to say, and please forgive me if I take this out of context, or submission does definitely start with the Creator, giving yourself to him 100%, letting go and letting God, literally, because he has that whole purpose all sewn up. Before he made us, he knew us. Before he put us in our mother's wombs, he had a clear intention. So if the intention was for us to go in that direction, but yet we think we need to be going there, it's clearly not going to work. So where you were talking about,
one line for that. If we can't submit to a perfect God who loves us, how can we submit to an imperfect man?
Ooh.
I think that's a conversation for another day, and we can talk about that. It's definitely
getting deep.
Society hates the word, like submission's a cuss word. But if we truly understand the beauty of it within the biblical context, it's a beautiful word.
Oh, it is. It is. It has so many layers to it. It really does. But it has to start with the Supreme Being. Unless you fully give to him 100%, like Gozen's saying, how are you going to do that with your husband? And no, women, it doesn't mean, you know, laying down on the carpet and allowing yourself to be walked all over. No. First and foremost, you know, there's got to be a mission, a joint mission, a meeting of minds. He's got to know, he's got to know you inside out. Do you know what I mean? He who finds a wife, he's got to find you and understand you and want to love you, warts and all, unconditional love. If he's not capable of being a king like his king, his creator, he's not going to be able to communicate with you. He's not going to be able to love you. And unless you can do those things, of course, as women, we're not going to feel comfortable submitting to him, right? Unless he truly gets you. Yeah, but goodness me, that's a deep one. That is a deep one. But I just like the points that you made there, Gozen, which is about, first and foremost, it starts with understanding that you give yourself to him 100%. And once you know that he is in control, just allowing yourself to now flow. Because when you talked about meeting other like-minded women, that was you basically finding your tribe, finding other women who are in a similar position. Like you say, the whole Ruth, Naomi analogy, love it. And just being free to learn and grow and develop in that space. Because we're not the font of all knowledge. Of course, we are supremely intelligent. We're made in his image, yes, but we're always still learning and growing, right? And unless we have that open mind where we've let go and we allow divine angels to now come into our lives, take our hands, guide us. Well, this is how I did it. You might want to consider. We're not going to know. I love it.
I love it. God will not do the same thing in the same way. So I think with marriage, with meeting your purpose mate, with meeting your husband or your wife, it's great to hear so many other stories, and it blesses my heart and encourages me so much. But I also need to know in my mind that God, their story won't look exactly the same as mine. And my favorite is mine, and it's still evolving, and I'm super excited about it. It's knowing to celebrate those around you without taking it on about you.
It's not personal.
It's not personal. Let's celebrate those relationships around us, glean from them, learn from them, admire them, celebrate them.
Absolutely.
But let's also know that God's got us in mind. God already knows who your husband or wife is. And we're sitting here stressing about it. Indeed. How about we go to him and just be like, God, like, you know who my husband is. You know who my wife is. I'm going to pray for them right now, Lord. Watch them, cover them. Make sure they ain't going to go out on dating other people because they're mine. I'm just real.
Or let them learn in the process.
No. Then teach them in ways that they don't have to jeopardize their own, soul, Lord. But, God already knows who your husband is. God already knows who your wife is. So now let's find places to, walk in wife, walk in husband, but also find places to position ourselves that God can actually work. If I'm sitting at home twiddling my thumbs, like, yeah, God's going to send me my mate. Unless he's the postman and he actually rings your doorbell, or it's like that kind of thing, like, no. He needs you to walk in your calling. He needs you to walk in your purpose. He needs you to be social. How are you going to connect with your mate if you can't even hold a conversation with someone at a checkout store, at the grocery store on the checkout? You need to know how to converse. You need to know how to relate to other people. Absolutely. And that starts right now in this season. I believe your family relationships, because your family really call you out, didn't they? They call you out on everything. So learn how to navigate those. Use this training ground, because it's going to be harder with your mate, because they're going to know you. You're going to be so intimate with each other. You're going to live in the same space.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be stepping on each other's toes. You're going to learn how to, you need to keep your cool. You need to know how to communicate challenges. So that's another thing I teach in this mindset shift. Learn how to relate to people, learn how not to get angry at every little thing, learn to control your frustrations, learn to communicate your frustrations, learn boundaries within your marriage and outside also. Learn to be on the same page. There is so much learning to be done in this season, and it's not going to stop when you go into the next. You're going to continue to learn, you're going to continue to evolve, but we need to start the process and also put ourselves in positions. And I think this event is incredible. I was actually thinking, like, what's the best place to meet your mate? And I think it's in a place where you have many like-minded people. So ideally, like a university, if you go to university, or like a school, because you have other like-minded people, preferably, you know, similar interests. But when you get older and you kind of pass the university stage or college stage, you know, it's like, so where do I meet people? And it's events like this. Absolutely. It's actually going out, socializing. And even if you go to the event and don't meet your mate, learn to interact with people, learn to be curious and interested in other people.
Sure.
Because, like, holding a conversation with someone, learn to hold a conversation with someone.
It helps,
like,
right?
I've spoken to some people, and like, I'm the one asking all the questions. Get interested about me too. Even if you're not interested in me as your wife or, you know, a friend or whatever, just learn to be curious about people. Practice your skills at events like this. It's, I think, an amazing opportunity.
Well, that's it. I mean, you've covered so many different gems there, Gozen. So yes, being, what was the first one? What you make about owning your unique space. We are all different, right? And celebrating other people succeeding in relationships, whatever it is, because it's very easy. We know quite a few people who, because they want it so much, it's very difficult for them to find joy in their hearts when they hear about other people succeeding at it. And, you know, this is again where the whole, where's your mindset comes into play. So if you know, first and foremost, again, taking it back to the basics, that you are a child of God, uniquely and specially made in his image, that we all have different walks, you know, to different journeys to walk. My mum always says to me, our fingers are all different, right? But they all belong to the one hand. And the purpose that they serve, they're all different. So why would you feel that because Jane or Mary has done it, or Peter or John have done it, therefore what's going on, God? You get angry, you get upset, you feel jealous, you're giving into all those negative emotions. That's the first thing.
Right.
And talking about the seasons as well that you refer to, it's a season, guys. So those of you who might be feeling like, oh, the challenges of singledom, blah, 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 it's a season. It's not going to last forever. Today we're having crazy weather. Eunice is doing her thing, blowing trees across the roads, the railways. It's not going to last forever. 24 hours, maybe 48 hours max. So go through this time, as Gozen says, to hone those skills. Communication. My God, as you were speaking about communication, how important is that? If you can't even master the art, right, of getting to know someone.
How can you, if you can't master the art of getting to know someone, how are you going to stay in that marriage? Because people have this idea, this fantasy that marriage, you know, my savior's going to come and save me and we're going to live happily ever after. Yes, the Disney stories finish that way. Watch them a couple of years after, you know, stepping on each other's toes. Watch them when the children start coming, navigating life there. Watch them when the children start, you know, leaving the nest. It's a whole different transition. Staying married is not easy. Any married person will tell you that. Is it amazing? Is it, you know, God ordained? Is it, you know, literally heaven on earth if done the right way? Yes, yes, yes. But it's work. It's work. So if we don't start that process now, then where are we going to be there? And I've had so many married women come to me and say, I wish this course was available when I was single, because I learned the hard way. My marriage, my first years was so hard because I was still living as a single.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work that way.
They hadn't made that mindset shift.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you. So, Gozen, what was it that sparked that interest in you? When was it you realized that I have to start an academy? Wife in the waiting. I mean, it's just so wow. When did that happen?
So I remember it quite clearly, actually. I actually went to go visit one of my friends, one of the mentors that I spoke to you about, and her story is incredible. So in brief, she met her husband, went on a work trip. They met, I think, in McDonald's, of all places. They got talking, continued the conversation. I don't think they ate at McDonald's. I think they just grabbed a drink. And then, they progressed and then really enjoyed their time. And then she flew back to where she lived, because she didn't live in that location. She married her husband on her third date, 47 days later. See,
Wow.
when God's in it. But with her, she had done the work before. She knew exactly where she was. She knew exactly who she wanted to be. She knew what she wanted her marriage to look like. And she had done the work before. So when she had met her husband, and her husband was very clear on what he wanted, where he wanted to go, so when you have two people that meet up in those situations, it don't take long to figure out if that's your mate or not. And now they've been married 10 years. They celebrated their 10-year anniversary, have two beautiful daughters together, and they are thriving. And I keep going and visiting them. So I went to go visit them on a trip. I think it was in 2016, around then. And I remember flying back, and on that plane journey back, God gave me that download. He said, women just like you. And I remember sitting at a table, because we had like a little event with them.
Right.
It was in Cheesecake Factory in Atlanta, Georgia. Love Cheesecake Factory.
Wow.
And I remember sitting there, and there was a couple of women who were also single, similar age to me. I think they might have been a little bit older. And they looked at me and they're like, how are you so content being a single? How are you so happy and cheery and content?
What a question.
And that I was like, am I? Okay, cool. That was the first question. Like, am I? Oh, I am. Or, I'm not a bit crazy about this. I know it's going to happen in God's perfect time.
Yeah.
But I knew that I needed to create that space for women to find themselves, find that contentment within, because there wasn't that space available. I didn't have a space that could nurture me and teach me. So I became the change. I became the one who sitting down with God and just being like, God, all right, so let's go back. What are the stages you brought me through? Let's put this into a framework and let's help other women. And there's been women globally around the world. So I've had Australia, America, Cayman Islands, throughout Europe also, that have done the course, and they are just like, wow, thank you so much. Like, I just feel so much more focused. And when you get focused on doing what God's called you to do, God then gets about your business.
That's it. You're allowing him to take control, right?
Right.
Love it. Oh my goodness, that's powerful. Honestly, Gozen, that
Yeah.
really is. That's a bit of a niche that you created for yourself there.
Absolutely. And I get so many guys saying, what you post on Instagram and all this stuff is for us too. I was like, yes, it is. But I know my heart is to empower the women. It's to really help the women grow. But you know what? It's for everyone. And you're going to find God in every single one of my posts, every single thing that I put out, because he is my partner in this, let's say.
Definitely. That your business partner.
He is.
Wow, I love that. I could talk about that business, the things that you do all day, Gozen. But I mean, if there was, just to wrap up on that point, if there was one common struggle, I use the word advisedly, that you find maybe across the board with your clients, what might that be, and how have you advised them to counter it?
Common struggle. finding their purpose. It's because when we don't have a focus, when we don't have a goal, we don't have a direction to put our life towards. So, and when we're not focused on anything, we're then going in so many different directions. We're driving ourselves crazy. We have no clarity. So we, you know, if a guy comes and says hi, we're like, oh, he wants to marry me. He just said hi. um, it happens. Oh, he looked at me. He answered me. No, he just said hi. It's okay. So, you know, when you're so focused on what you're meant to be doing, first and foremost, you're being fulfilled. Sure. Because we are only really satisfied when we start walking and doing what God created us to do. And we all have a unique purpose in life. One of mine is to help other people walk in theirs. So this is one of the things we do in Wife in the Waiting. We actually cast visions. We actually look at different areas of our life and say, what do I want it to look like? Okay, what practical skills can I do in this area? How can I start walking in it right now, today, instead of waiting for this dream to come true? Let's start walking in the vision that God's called us to. And when we start doing that, we stop thinking about, you know, where's my husband? Where's this? God knows who he is. He's coming along the way, but I'm going to stay focused on this. I'm not going to be distracted. I'm not going to let the cares of the world, they say, come and take my peace away. Absolutely. And I'm going to continue to pour out. And, you know, Adam didn't know that he needed a mate. Adam didn't say, where's my bae? Where's my boo? He didn't say that. He was about his father's business in the Garden of Eden. He was naming the animals. He was tending to the garden. But we're not naming anything. We're not tending anything. And we're like, where's my bae?
Absolutely. Get it right, guys.
Right? So when we're about our father's business, when we're doing what he's called us to do, and that's what I teach. When you know your purpose, then you'll know who will align with your purpose or not. Because the worst thing to do is marry someone whose purpose doesn't align up with yours. And I don't mean identical. It doesn't need to be identical, but it needs to line up.
Absolutely. You know, as you're describing that, the analogy that springs to mind is like a sat nav. If you don't put the destination into the sat nav, then how are you going to know where you're going? And really, it's about the journey, isn't it? Don't worry about the destination. You will get there. But enjoy the journey. Imagine taking a leisurely drive to Scotland.
Yes.
And all the things that are going to happen on the way. If you're just behind that wheel, just thinking, I need to get there, when am I going to get there? What's the time? You're missing out on all the fun. And actually, there might be things en route that might grab your attention. You might think, oh, that looks like a pretty forest. I might just stop, take a walk. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what's going to happen when you pop in there and who you might meet, who you might interact with. So that whole point about purpose, start there. Know who you are, what it is that you're doing.
I love the sat nav analogy, because it's quite overwhelming when you kind of like have this far distance. Like Scotland's what, about 5 hours away from us? That's quite a drive.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to need some checkpoints on the way there, because I'm not driving 5 hours straight. You can, I'm not. But the beautiful thing with a sat nav is we get instructions one road at a time, but we want the whole thing. It will overwhelm us. Like, imagine if the sat nav just sat and listed every single turn you're gonna make right from the very start. But as women in particular, we want to know, we want to be in control. We want to know every single turn. We do not want a diversion. That will just really frustrate us. So, you know, we want to know it all, but God don't work that way. He works one road at a time. So if we're not obeying him with that first step, then he's not going to be able to reveal the next. One of my favorite quotes is, a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Just one step. Just do that one thing. Just do that one thing that God's telling you to do right now.
Yeah.
The rest is going to come. The next one step is going to come.
Yeah. And that's where the faith comes in as well. You know, it's like when we talk about steps, you don't need to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step and know, trust, have faith that the vision will become clear. You just do what you need to do. Know where it is you want to go and just start. You know?
Yeah.
I love it.
I think it's knowing that the vision continually evolves anyway. As we grow, as we get more insight, and have some foresight in terms of what we did, what went right, what didn't go right, the vision's going to evolve. So don't think the vision you have today is going to be the actual vision. It's going to evolve, as you grow, as you meet new people. I always say the person I was this morning is not the person I am right now. Because since then, I've read a book, I've listened to a sermon, I've had conversations, I've had interactions. I've evolved in this time.
Constantly
and
growing.
as we continue to evolve, yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
commune with God. He's going to show us, he's going to direct our steps, but one step at a time.
Absolutely. Speaking of steps, so all steps at this point in time, guys, lead to February the 25th. All roads lead to that singles event that's being hosted by iCAN Community Church. Gozen, if there are any guys out there who are umming, ahhing, well, yeah, it sounds good, not sure, let's see, might, something else might come up, I don't know. What would you say to them?
I'd say, men, listen up. Don't go there with the idea that you're going to find your wife. If you do, I'm really happy for you and I'm going to celebrate that. But go there with the idea of meeting people. Go there with the idea of building communication, learning how to start a conversation. I know quite a lot of men are like, I'm shy, I don't know how to start a conversation. Go practice. This is the perfect environment to do that in. And yeah, just go have fun, enjoy the journey. And you never know, the one person you meet, they might connect you to another person who is your person. So, don't be limited and be like, oh, well, these people here or whatever. No, you might be, for the females, for example, you might go there and meet another sister, a female, and they may introduce you to someone else. Like, don't be disruptive if you think, yeah. So exactly. So don't go there with the idea of that's it, I'm going to go meet my boo and be all kind of like, because you're going to put out this energy that actually repels people away. Put out a friendly energy, put a smile on your face, learn to be approachable, learn to, have a conversation. And men, go practice. We know that you're not going to find this many beautiful women in one place at a time. Go and just be awesome. Go and be a great representative of who God created you to be.
Amen. And that's it. And, that nicely encapsulates all the things that we've been discussing just now. It's about the journey. So you may have the goal in mind, yes, which is to maybe find the forever, partner, your king, your queen. But don't get so fixated on that. Yes, that's what you're aiming for, but just come open-minded, wanting to engage, interact, practice. Men, you might meet women who have a sister. She might not be the one, but the sister might be. Women, right. Vice versa. You just don't know. It all starts with interaction. It all starts with communication, right? If we're not willing to open up and engage and talk, be curious, as Gozen was saying earlier on. What is it you do? Where have you traveled? Where have you been? What are you doing next week? Oh my God, what do you do for fun? You're just never going to know, because we're always growing, we're always learning, right? And it's yeah.
So I think you said something interesting there. Singles have forgotten how to have fun. Can we just be real? This is an amazing opportunity. There's going to be an awesome DJ. There's going to be a comedian coming too. This is going to be fun. So as a single, we need to learn to incorporate more fun into our lives, especially single Christians. Why do we have to be boring all the time?
I don't know.
Have fun.
Exactly.
Come dance. Come with your dancing shoes, ready to dance.
Precisely. We've been locked up now for what, 2 years plus? For crying out loud. This is like the perfect opportunity to just let go and just have some fun, literally, and you just don't know what might come of it. As Gozen said, we've got a packed evening of entertainment, interactive games, we've got performers, we've got a comedian. This compare, oh my God. Check out the flyers, guys, and then go Google him. He is off the charts. He will have you in stitches all night. It's just going to be amazing. Just going to be absolutely amazing.
And there's going to be food.
And there's going to be a 3-course meal.
And especially men, we know the key to your heart is food. There's going to be lots of food there. So yeah,